Everything in nature, including the ego, has its place. It is important to understand that the ego is there for us, not against us. One of the common misconceptions is that the ego is our enemy, but he is not our enemy. The ego is an enemy like weights in a gym or a book in a school. He is our teacher. It is here to teach us something and not to harm us. How we perceive it, as well as the fact that we don't like the way it works, is our problem. And yes, the ego likes to hide and defend itself. But like everything, the ego has his weak points. And most importantly, like every teacher, he wants to be overcome. More on that in the coming episodes, and now let's examine other misconceptions related to the ego to clarify the ego's mystery fully. 1. Clarity or life in awareness, life without ego or life in the moment, is the life of spirituality. Wrong. The above has nothing to do with spirituality. It is ordinary life where we use our emotional intelligence to overcome ego fears to reach emotional maturity. One of the main goals of this series is to simplify and demystify concepts such as life without ego or living in the moment or what our soul is. Another goal is to make it easier to understand and follow these terms and clearly draw the line between emotional maturity, internal clarity about oneself, and spirituality, external clarity, a sense of connection with a higher power. 2. It is good to have a little healthy ego to take care of oneself. Wrong. There is no such thing as a healthy ego because it always speaks with fear, and that is his motivator. It is important to take care of yourself, but out of love, not out of fear. Motivation is the only difference that defines our maturity. 3. A life without ego is the life of a calm, composed person who is completely indifferent. Wrong. Maturity is a life of peace, freedom, and love. It is more passionate and motivating than any fear, but it is also quiet and without the need to impose and explain, so it seems indifferent to the egoistic view. That is diametrically opposite of the truth because we find enormous satisfaction and fulfillment, but within us, out of pure love, and not because we are motivated by external rewards and applause. 4. A life without ego is a life without conflict. Wrong. Maturity is also self-love. And self-love means caring and standing up not only for others, but also for yourself. Following the truth, that is, what is right. And sometimes it's right to protect yourself and take care of yourself. In real life, sometimes it means standing up to others. Not out of ego, but out of self-love. Maturity means opposing, but not suffering during it, or trying to harm the other side. Because we understand that whoever attacked us does not attack us for us, but for himself, because he lives life in his own fear. And by standing up for ourselves, we also give valuable experience to those we stand up against. 5. A life without ego is a life of asceticism. Wrong. Clarity will even be more easily gained in material security than in poverty, where we are burdened with daily objective challenges such as food supply and physical security. Material things and business success are irrelevant, but they are necessary for the process of self-realization. They are also an experience to be comprehended. 6. Knowledge is found in holy places. Wrong. You don't have to go on a retreat to a church, a mosque, or a desert. The role of these places is to be alone and take time to get to know yourself. Because through solitude and dedication to self-examination, you approach clarity. And it is quite likely that you will be alone on that path. All knowledge is within you and is available now and here. Why? As always, because it's easier. It seems easier to go to a holy place than to face, for example, your attachments or selfishness. It seems easier to believe that someone has the answer for you somewhere. The most that someone can do for you is to direct you where to go and how to search for the truth in yourself. The path to clarity can only be mastered by you, anytime and anywhere. Just ask yourself questions, follow the truth, and you will get all the answers, gain clarity, and save money on a plane ticket. 7. Knowledge is serious. Dead wrong. Seriousness always comes from fear. The more aware a person is and lives in love without fear, he lives a life in joy, happiness, and playfulness. Life joy is an easy way to recognize a mature person who is not influenced by fears. Ask yourself, if you were left without all fears, would you be serious or joyful? 8. People without egos are weak people. Wrong. Despite the general perception, mature people are extremely strong people because they have reached the state of love by facing and overcoming their own ego fears. This peace, calmness, and goodness, often seen through egoistic glasses, are replaced by weakness. The fact that we are not aggressive does not mean that we are not strong and determined. There is just no need for proving it. 9. Mature people are cold. Absolutely wrong. Just because they are emotionally stable doesn't mean they are cold. In fact, the complete opposite. They show love, but don't talk about it. They live gratitude, but don't write about it. Because love is always silent, and ego is loud. It is what we do and say that defines us, not how we look and how others perceive us. What we don't say defines us even more. 10. I don't need a life without ego, it's all logical and clear. True, but only while we sit in a coffee shop and listen. Then everything seems logical and attainable because the ego is asleep. But when the ego awakens, then we don't always react logically, do we? The ego will never tell us it's time to get rid of it. To silence the ego, it's necessary for every living person, because it is the only path to complete joy and clarity. 11. I understand everything, but I'm not sure if I want a life without ego. Honestly, it's great like this and I'm happy with myself. Silencing the ego opens life paths and understandings we are unaware or cannot even imagine. It's like saying we're not going to high school because we are happy in elementary school. Human nature is such that we can understand things that we have experienced. And then we want more of it. More money, partners, travel, and the like. But the goal is to experience new things and new paths. Turning a blind eye to this may be motivated solely by fear of uncertainty. Be brave and allow yourself to know things in ways that you cannot currently comprehend. Accept that you don't know and the path to clarity will open for you. 12. People on the way of maturity must practice yoga, certain diet, or a lifestyle. Wrong. Although it can get in a way, in principle, it's completely irrelevant. That may correspond to a given lifestyle in terms of marketing, but they have nothing to do with clarity. You can trade stocks or save whales, it's completely irrelevant. Only thing important is why you do it. Out of love or fear. 13. Ego motivates us. Partially true. The passive ego whispers in our ears that we are not good enough or that we will not succeed and uses fear to passive us and destroys our motivation. Aggressive ego can really motivate us. Greed can motivate us. The desire to stand out can motivate us. Envy can motivate us. And many desires can motivate us. If we want to call that motivation, then the ego motivates. But the mentioned path leads only to suffering. Love motivates us to create and be inclusive, and is much more beneficial for everyone involved. 14. The whole ego thing is a hippie thing and not for serious people, but for alternative people and losers. Wrong. I have been a scientist, manager, business and family man for most of my life. Always I have been focused on knowledge about everything, including myself, and that is for a very pragmatic reason. I've noticed that silencing the ego is responsible for my business and personal success, and that I can thank love for everything I have. If we understand that mature people are calm and rational and make excellent decisions for the benefit of everyone involved, including our own, isn't it logical to conclude that we as such are better worker, boss, parent, friend, or a mentor? If it is not important to truly comprehend and fulfill your meaning and purpose and live your life in all-encompassing fullness, what is important? Our car, our house, our Leonardo? Only we matter. Only our soul matters. We replace this school called life with what the school should teach us. And that is to get new experiences through self-realization and pass them on to others. 15. I don't have time to deal with myself. I have a family and a job. Wrong. That's why we don't have time. Because we are under the influence of the ego. We are constantly dealing with ourselves and what we want and what we don't want. We exchange opinions with other egoistic peoples and achieve goals imposed by society, but we are too weak to seek our own path. All this is because we are mostly motivated by fears, for example, of other people's opinion. That is why we don't have time. The first thing people realize when they decide to silence their ego is how much time they've got. Because they realize that for most things in life, they are motivated by this very fear of other people's opinion. Would you live the life you do if other people's opinion were absolutely relevant to you? 16. Why a lot of successful business people I know are egoistical. It seems like it's necessary for success. As we said, ego can also motivate us, certainly, and even bring results in one part of life. But your ego must understand that you don't know whether this person who is successful by social parameters is at the same time complete and successful in all aspects of life, or only the one that you observe and envy. Business success is often equated with personal success, and while it helps, it's certainly not true. We can often witness the ups and downs of egoistic people because the ego is always characterized by volatility and instability. Envying someone's ego-fueled success is the same as envying a drugged-up person for a good mood. 17. Only people with problems should eliminate their egos. Partially true. Emotional maturity really brings a whole new perspective on problems, and much of the imaginary problems we invent ourselves and the resulting suffering disappears. With that part of the real challenges that happens in life, we tackle much easier. With maturity, in addition to being better able to see and remove our fears and doubts, we are also better able to see our strengths and potentials. We are better in comprehending experiences and skills that we can't even think of now and that we don't even think we are capable of. And that is something where we can grow the most. To learn and master all possible tricks that we are unaware of at the moment and to realize clarity. To learn how to love and to live in a life of an abundance, immaterial and material. My name is Zoran Salopek, and in the next episode we will go over the remaining details about the ego.